Good morning, everyone. We live in a world that constantly fights for our attention. Notifications buzz, endless scrolls consume hours, and the demands of daily life pull us in a dozen different directions. It's easy to lose focus. It's easy to get tired. And sometimes we forget why we even began our journey in the first place. But today, I want you to pause, breathe, and remember, you didn't start this just to quit halfway. You didn't come this far just to give up now. You had a reason, a dream, a purpose, a goal that once set your soul on fire. Maybe it was the dream to build a better life. Maybe it was the promise you made to your family. Maybe it was that quiet inner voice telling you that you're capable of more, of something greater. Whatever it was, it mattered to you. It still does. But somewhere along the road, distractions crept in. Let's talk about those distractions. They're not always obvious. They don't always look like bad habits or toxic people. Sometimes they wear the disguise of comfort. They look like the snooze button you hit every morning, the endless streaming that numbs your ambition, the busy work that makes you feel productive but keeps you far from progress. Sometimes distractions even come from fear. Fear of failing. Fear of not being good enough, fear of judgment. And instead of facing those fears, we hide behind distractions. We stay in our comfort zones, convincing ourselves that we'll get back on track soon. But let me tell you something important. The longer you stay distracted, the further you drift from your purpose. And the more you drift, the harder it gets to remember why you started. So let's do this together. Let's go back to the beginning. Think about the day you made your decision, that first step you took, the moment you said, I'm going to do this. Maybe you were nervous, but you were also excited, hopeful, hungry. That version of you, the one who started, deserves better than the version of you that's ready to quit. And here's the truth. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You're going to fall. You're going to get distracted. That's human. What matters is whether you choose to realign, to refocus, to remember why you started and take the next step, even if it's small. You see, success doesn't come from grand gestures. It's built quietly, day by day, in the shadows of discipline and consistency. It's what you do when no one is watching. It's the choices you make when giving up seems easier than pushing through. So if you've been drifting, if you feel disconnected from your purpose, it's okay. You don't have to start over. Just start again, right here, right now. Recommit. Block out the noise. Silence the doubts. Put your phone down if you must. Unfollow what distracts you. Create space for what matters. You owe it to your future self. Let me ask you this. How would your life look if you gave your goal everything you had for the next 6 months? What if, instead of giving excuses, you gave effort? Instead of delaying, you decided. Instead of letting your fear control you, you faced it head on. There is someone out there who is less talented than you, less experienced than you, with fewer resources than you, but they are winning simply because they didn't quit. Because they stayed focused, because they remembered why they started. That can be you. That should be you. Don't let temporary emotions make permanent decisions for you. Feeling tired is normal. Feeling discouraged is part of the journey. But you know what else is part of the journey? Resilience, grit, the ability to stand up after falling. There is strength inside you that you haven't tapped into yet. There is power in your story, even the messy parts, especially the messy parts. Those struggles, those battles, those quiet days when you keep going even when no one claps for you, that's where your greatness is built. So stop being distracted. Stop measuring your progress by someone else's timeline. Stop romanticizing the idea of quitting just because the path got hard and start remembering. Why did you begin this? Who were you doing it for? What future were you chasing? Write it down, say it out loud, keep it close. When the days get hard, let your why be louder than your excuses. You don't need a new plan. You need renewed commitment. You need clarity, not comfort. And you need to believe that the version of you who started this journey, scared, imperfect, but determined, was onto something. You've come too far to only come this far. So today, make the decision to realign, to get serious, to shut the door on distractions and open the door to discipline. Show up, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Because the truth is, you didn't start this for nothing. You started it with hope. You started it with purpose. You started it for a reason. Now remember that reason. Hold on to it. Let it guide you and finish what you started. There will always be something trying to pull you away from what truly matters. Life doesn't wait for the perfect time, and the path to your goals will never be free of obstacles. Every day we are bombarded with notifications, tasks, temptations, and opinions that threaten to break our focus. But amidst all this noise, you must remember one truth. Your purpose is stronger than your distraction. Purpose isn't a fleeting feeling. It's not something you randomly stumbled upon one afternoon. It's something deeply rooted in who you are, your values, your beliefs, your hopes. It's the reason you started chasing your goal in the first place. And it's not meant to be easy. In fact, the existence of distractions is proof that your purpose is meaningful. Because if it didn't matter, nothing would try to stop you from achieving it. The distractions will disguise themselves as urgent. They'll make you feel like you're missing out if you don't check in, if you don't respond, if you don't constantly stay updated. But urgency is not the same as importance. Not everything that demands your attention deserves it. You have to be able to say no to the noise so you can say yes to what you really want. Purpose gives you direction, clarity, and fuel. Distractions, on the other hand, drain you. They scatter your energy, break your rhythm, and lead you to forget why you started. That's when procrastination sets in. That's when self-doubt begins to whisper. When you start questioning your capability, not because you're incapable, but because you've allowed too many voices to speak louder than your inner drive. You're not here to be average. You're not here to float through your days, halfway in and halfway out of your own life. You're here to do something real, to create, to serve, to build, to grow. And that mission, whatever form it takes, is worth fighting for. It deserves your full attention, your consistent action, your loyalty. Every time you feel yourself drifting, every time you find yourself lost in comparison, distractions, or comfort, ask yourself this: does this serve my purpose? If it doesn't, let it go. Because every moment you give to distraction is a moment you steal from your destiny. Focus isn't about having no distractions. It's about knowing what matters so clearly that you're willing to fight to protect it. That fight starts in the small decisions: what you read, who you spend time with, what you listen to, what you tolerate. Every choice is a vote for the life you want or the life you're trying to escape. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel strong. But your purpose isn't based on how you feel. It's based on who you are. And who you are is someone capable of discipline, resilience, and excellence. You have already proven this by starting. Now your task is to remember. When your vision is clear, your distractions lose their power. They no longer control you. They don't disappear. They just become irrelevant. Because nothing compares to the fire of living with purpose. Nothing feels better than knowing you're honoring what you are meant to do. There are days when you'll wake up and not feel like doing anything. Days when your energy is low, your motivation is gone, and the excitement you once had for your goal feels like a distant memory. On those days, it's not motivation that gets you through, it's discipline. And discipline is nothing more than the art of remembering what you want, even when you don't feel like wanting it. People often think discipline is harsh, rigid, or joyless. But true discipline is actually one of the deepest forms of self-respect. It's a quiet, steady commitment to your future. It's telling yourself, I matter enough to follow through. It's showing up when it's hard, because the outcome is worth more than the excuse. When you remember what you want, really remember, not just the goal itself, but the why behind it, the sacrifices begin to make sense. The early mornings, the extra hours, the saying no to distractions or short-term pleasures, all of it becomes a part of something bigger. Discipline isn't about punishing yourself. It's about aligning your actions with your values. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're not talented or capable. They fail because they forget what they wanted in the first place. They get tired. They get distracted. They get overwhelmed. And instead of pausing to reconnect with their purpose, they let temporary emotions dictate long-term outcomes. Discipline refuses to let that happen. Discipline is choosing to take the stairs when the elevator looks easier. It's choosing the uncomfortable truth over the comfortable lie. It's staying focused when everyone else is giving in. It's not glamorous. It doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it builds something unshakable: character, strength, and trust in yourself. There is nothing more powerful than a person who can follow through on what they said they would do long after the mood they set it in has passed. Because the mood will always pass. Excitement fades, passion dips, even confidence wavers. But if you've trained yourself to act based on purpose instead of mood, you'll keep moving forward no matter what. Discipline is also about boundaries. It's recognizing what pulls you away from your goals, the habits, the people, the mindsets, and making the intentional choice to guard your focus. It's about building routines that support your vision instead of sabotaging it. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your systems. Discipline builds those systems. Sometimes you have to do things tired. You have to do them uncertain. You have to do them when no one is watching, when there's no applause, and when the reward seems far away. And that's where discipline shines. In the unseen, quiet moments that stack up over time and create massive results. It doesn't take superhuman strength to be disciplined. It takes clarity. It takes choosing your future self over your current comfort. It takes reminding yourself every single day, I want this. I chose this. This matters to me. And because it matters, I will keep going. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's a decision, a daily decision to live in alignment with what you say you want. To stop negotiating with excuses. To stop seeking motivation as a prerequisite for action. You act not because you feel like it, but because it's part of who you are becoming. Motivation is unpredictable. It comes and goes like the weather. One day it's strong, the next is gone. You can't build anything lasting on something that inconsistent. If your progress depends on whether you feel motivated, you'll always be at the mercy of your emotions. That's why commitment matters more. Commitment stays when motivation fades. Commitment is the deeper promise you make to yourself that you'll keep going regardless of how you feel. Too often, people wait to feel inspired before they act. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect set of circumstances. But the people who actually achieve something, the ones who create, build, grow, succeed, don't wait. They move. They take action, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it's uncomfortable, because they're committed, not just interested. Being interested in a goal is easy. Anyone can be excited on day one. Anyone can talk about their dreams. But being committed means you show up on day 20, day 50, day 100, when the excitement is gone and the obstacles are real. Commitment is built on decisions, not feelings. And those decisions are made every single day. Commitment says, I will do the work even if I'm tired. I will stay consistent even when I'm not seeing immediate results. I will trust the process even when it feels slow. That's where real progress comes from. Not from random bursts of energy, but from the steady push forward that commitment brings. Motivation is external. It's sparked by things you see, hear, or experience. But commitment is internal. It's rooted in your values, your vision, your identity. It's what keeps you anchored when life gets chaotic. Motivation might get you started, but only commitment will keep you going. Commitment also brings clarity. When you're committed, distractions lose their power. You're no longer wondering whether to do the work you already decided. You no longer waste energy negotiating with yourself. The decision was made. That frees up your mental space and emotional energy to focus on what matters. You stop chasing inspiration and start creating momentum. There will be days when your goals feel far away. Days when you question if you're capable, if it's worth it, if it's even working. Those are the moments that test your commitment. Not your talent, not your motivation, your commitment. Because those moments are part of every meaningful journey. They're not signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're growing. And commitment is what carries you through them. You don't need to be inspired all the time. You don't need to have perfect circumstances. What you need is the ability to keep showing up, to take one more step, to keep your word to yourself. That is how you build trust in who you are and what you're capable of. Your commitment doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to be real. Quiet consistency beats loud motivation every time. Because consistency builds habits. Habits builds momentum. And momentum builds results. When you commit fully, you take the option of quitting off the table. You burn the excuses. You stop giving yourself an easy way out. You remind yourself that this matters, not just for today, but for your future. And because it matters, you act with discipline, resilience, and resolve. It feels good to be comfortable. It feels safe, familiar, and easy. That's why we're naturally drawn to it. We like routines that don't challenge us, environments that don't confront us, and habits that require little effort. But what feels good in the moment often costs us in the long run, because comfort, when left unchecked, becomes a trap, a silent enemy that keeps us from becoming who we're truly meant to be. Growth doesn't happen in places where everything is easy. It happens in the stretch, in the discomfort, in the uncertainty. It happens when you push yourself beyond your usual limits, when you do the thing you've been avoiding, when you take the risk even though it scares you. Real growth demands resistance. It demands challenge. It demands a willingness to feel uncomfortable on the way to becoming better. Most people want to grow without leaving their comfort zones. They want the results without the struggle. But you can't evolve and stay the same at the same time. Growth requires a kind of disruption. It asks you to let go of what's familiar so you can reach for something higher. That could mean breaking a routine, changing your mindset, starting over, or admitting that what got you here won't get you there. The comfort zone is seductive because it tells you that you're doing enough. It whispers that you don't need to try harder, that playing it safe is smarter, that failure is too risky. And if you listen to that voice for too long, you'll start to believe it. You'll settle. You'll convince yourself that staying stuck is just being realistic. But deep down, you'll know you're capable of more. Every person who has achieved something worthwhile had to step into discomfort. They had to deal with criticism, rejection, self-doubt, and fear. They had to take action when they weren't sure it would work. They had to keep going without guarantees. That's the cost of growth. And while it's never easy, it's always worth it. Comfort makes you passive. It makes you reactive. You wait instead of act. You hesitate instead of decide. You talk about what you'll do someday instead of doing it now. And in that waiting, time passes. Opportunities pass. Life passes. The only way to break that cycle is to embrace discomfort as a necessary part of progress. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about challenging yourself. It's about choosing the hard things that serve you over the easy things that keep you stagnant. Every time you step into discomfort on purpose, every time you do the hard workout, have the hard conversation, make the hard decision, you expand. You grow stronger, more resilient, more capable. Comfort also breeds complacency. When things are good enough, you stop striving. But good enough is not the same as fulfilled. It's not the same as excellence. It's not the same as reaching your full potential. And deep down, you know when you're coasting. You know when you're capable of more, but choosing less because it's easier. To grow, you have to trade short-term comfort for long-term gain. That means being willing to be misunderstood, to fail, to start again, to feel lost for a while. But through that struggle, something incredible happens. You find clarity, strength, and purpose. You realize that every discomfort you face is shaping you into someone who's ready for the life you actually want.